All right, welcome to Muskelpodden. Today we actually have our first international guest. We have Joe Ballinger from the UK. Welcome.
Yo, what's good, guys?
So, Yo, how are you doing?
I'm good. So first, I just want to say thank you, boys, for having me on. It's a pleasure to be asked on to talk to you guys about what we all love: bodybuilding, lifting iron, eating food, all that kind of stuff. So, you know, whatever I can bring to the table, I will. So whatever questions you got for me, whatever you want to know, dig deep into my brain and I'll see if there's anything left.
Yeah, that's perfect. So for the people that doesn't know you, could we just go down a little bit to who are you?
Sure, man. So I'm obviously a bodybuilder like you guys. I'm an online coach. And I've been in the industry for probably over 10 years now. I've been bodybuilding. Well, I say bodybuilding. I've been training for over half my life. So I'm just turned 31. I've been training since I was 15. Obviously, back when I was 15, I wasn't quite as into bodybuilding as I am now. I used to play rugby at a pretty high level. And then I started competing powerlifting when I was 19, 20. And I became a British, European and world powerlifting champion in the natural ranks before I went to the dark side, shall we say. And that was awesome. That was an awesome time for me. That was where I started to really get strong, obviously get strong under the bar. And then after that, that's when I kind of found bodybuilding, and rather than just be strong, I wanted to be strong and look good too. So I kind of changed my training up, started to, you know, get lean as well as, you know, be strong, which was cool. And it was a cool place to be. And at the time I was still playing rugby at a decent level. So I was kind of a bit of a hybrid athlete. And then at 24, I did my first show, which I won, which was cool. And then I went on to win like my first 5 shows. So that was like a really big kind of, I guess, confidence boost, because you guys will know when you compete for the first time, you have no fucking idea how you're going to get on. You don't know what to do. You know what I mean? Like, it's scary. You're getting on stage in your pants. Like, what's that about? So, I mean, as soon as I did it, I was like, yo, this shit's for me, because I like this.
But what weight class did you compete in?
So I first did, I don't know if you guys will have it over there, but there's a category called muscle model. And there was like fitness modeling and then muscle model. And like I used to compete with the WBFF, and I was a WBFF pro for a couple of years. We went over to like America competing and stuff. So that was fun. But I've been traveling quite a lot, competing like Spain. Obviously, you guys probably seen I've been everywhere this year, chasing down the elusive IFBB pro card. Still yet to be in my grasp, but I would say very soon I will be hunting that down. But that's kind of a little bit about me, guys. And then as I you know grew throughout the industry and bodybuilding and understanding more about the scene, I started to direct my, shall we say, business attention that way as well. I've always been inclined to obviously fitness, sports and health and stuff like that. I've done a degree in strength and conditioning, so I went to university and studied there. And then I did my personal training qualification back when I was 21, but I never really like chased up personal training itself. It wasn't until I competed and then I was like, oh shit, actually maybe like I can kind of do this together. Like I can compete because I look good now. Kind of like that helped with, you know, business. When you look good, you know, at the end of the day, PT, you know, we're shallow as a human race. You know, that guy looks good, I want to go with that guy, right? So that's kind of when things started to kind of slowly pick up in the business side of things for me. So then I started PTing. PTing was going really well. And then like I said, I went back to university as well whilst I was mid PTing. So I kind of re-educated myself in strength and conditioning, and basically kind of went from there, man. And then I just done a lot of my own studying, a lot of my own research, a lot of my own courses and stuff. And that's where I think the difference is between a lot of coaches nowadays. There's like I'm going off on a tangent here. That was supposed to be a welcome, and now I'm just
just go on. It's fine. I already have like 5 questions, but we have time.
Cool. Right, we're in. We've begun. All right, okay.
Yeah.
So like, I think you know, I was talking about like online coaching, and obviously, you know, that's a huge part of what a lot of us do. We work within the fitness industry. We want to help others, and I think there's a big difference and almost like a divide within the industry right now between guys that want to like genuinely help and coach people and get paid fairly for it, and then guys that want to just make a lot of money and like have a good business. Because Like the way in which coaching is, or the way in which our industry is set up, there's a lot of money to be made, right? But you have to be in it for the right reason. You have to want to genuinely help people, because if you do that, you're going to help people who are then going to talk about you and get you, clients. And that's the best way to get clients, in my opinion, is word of mouth, because you're talking for people that you've worked with, and they can say, I had a good experience with this guy. And like, if your friend says to you, go work with this guy, you're going to be like, okay, I trust you. You're my friend. That's cool. I'll probably do that. Whereas if you're getting a fucking Facebook lead or a Facebook ad or something on here, you're like, oh, not really sure. It's a cold lead, shall we say. And so I think just for me, having the keeping my integrity and like my, like honesty to myself. Like I always want to be able to like genuinely know in the back of my brain, am I doing the most for my clients, and to make sure they get the most out of working with me. And I think a lot of the time, and it's quite easy to see, there's a lot, be careful what I say here. I don't want to get under anyone's skin or anything, but like there's a lot of influencers out there nowadays who can use their position to make a lot of money, and that's cool. And I credit that, because I've got a lot of time for people who are business minded. But there's definitely a difference between a certain tier of coaches and then a tier of coaches whereby they're just very fucking good at marketing. And because I know a fuck ton of coaches who are incredibly clever, very good coaches, but they're shit at marketing. And like, then just not, and they haven't got any clients, right? And they would be such a good coach to all these clients. But then you got these guys who are spending loads on ad campaigns. They look great. They got the smile, but they're not really educated. But they're smashing it because they're good at marketing. So, there's, this isn't me mugging anyone off, by the way. It's just saying where the online coaching platform and place is right now, and not to say that that's a bad thing. Those guys, fair play to them, you know what I mean? They haven't gone and done a degree, not that you have to do a degree at all, but they probably don't really further educate themselves. They probably don't listen to the the educational podcasts and all the stuff like us guys do, and we watch the YouTube videos, and we're up to date with the current lingo of bodybuilding and stuff like that. Again, not that you have to be, but I just think it adds a whole nother sphere, like when you're talking to your clients and you understand what they're going through, not just the fact that you've got them through a Facebook lead funnel and been like, yeah, cool, now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
but Joe, may I interrupt you quick? I'm just gonna ask you a question and put you right on the spot.
Let's do it.
Have you ever taken a client just because of the marketing opportunities, or like the cash that was involved with just this particular athlete? Or have you always had this kind of like morals?
So in the earlier days when I was up and coming and not as well known, and I would say this to anyone who's coming up as well, take on every client that you can. That client may not be the right client for you, or you may not be the right coach for them, but that's how you learn who is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like back then, maybe I wouldn't, like if someone came to me, I'd be like, right, I've only got 5 clients, I've only got 7 clients. Like, fucking right, come here, I'm going to coach you, let's do it. And then you go through the process with them, and they, like, it's a 46-year-old woman, right? She's got 3 kids. You're a 25-year-old bodybuilder. Like, there's a bit of a disconnect there, right?
Yeah.
But
kind of funny they found you though.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, I want a piece of that. So, you do the program. You set them up, you go through the process. They don't check in week 1, shock. They don't check in week 2, shock. You chase up, and then you're like, right, this is pissing me off. This isn't really working. And then you slowly, through those experiences, you realize, right, those kind of people, that's not who I want to really coach. But you have to, as a new person, you have to go through that process of coaching people you probably shouldn't coach to realize who it is you actually do want to coach. And then you'll find the people who we call like A-grade clients, right? They check in on time every week. Their pictures are good. They fucking train properly. Well, actually, no, I shouldn't say that. They train, they do training videos that they send to you that you can then help them train properly, all that kind of stuff. Because, not everybody's gonna be able to train to the level that you want them, but that's your job to then make them better. But you get people who will pay you money and then kind of just not really do anything with it. And then again, you realize, okay, that kind of person isn't for me. And maybe then at that point, you realize as you start getting more experienced education, you get good results. Maybe this price bracket, like they're probably not the kind of people I need to be dealing with. I'd rather charge a little bit more, offer a better service so I can coach less people, and then because they're paying a little bit more, they're probably going to be a little bit more invested in the process. And that means you then, as a coach, you just automatically invest more in them as well, because you have that connect, because they're on the same wavelength as you, right? Yeah. And I find once then you've found the niche or the type of person that you want to coach or work with, that's when shit starts to come together. But that doesn't happen. Like I made that sound really easy. It's difficult to happen. And that's why when coaches are starting out and you are young and, you know, you're newer in the industry, you do have to take on, you know, people you may not necessarily want to work with, because at the end of the day, you've got to put food on your fucking plate.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? That's the reality of it, right? You know, we can't just turn up and be like, oh, sweet, I've got 10 perfect A-grade clients. It just doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that.
Like, the more experience you get, like the more selective you can be as well. Like, for an example, like the top coaches. I mean, there's like some top coaches who probably gets like hundreds of requests and they only like accept 1 or 2 because, you know, they have money. They don't care about these beginners anymore. They want just like the pros.
100%, man. It's kind of like, you know, you never see Lamborghini or Ferrari advertising, right? Do you know what I mean? So it's the same in the coaching industry. The guys at the very top, you know, coaching the Olympians and stuff, they don't need to put adverts out there. They probably get people asking all the time. And that's where I guess, well, we don't all aspire to be there, because sometimes we're like, I probably may not get there, but we're all aspiring to be as far along that journey as we possibly can. You know, and we have to just continually, in my opinion, continually educate, continually personally develop. And you have to go with the times as well, you know, see what's current, what's you know, and just be about it as well. I think be a trainer, train hard, and you will attract what you put out, you will attract. And that's, you know, like 95% of my clients are guys who are like probably between 20 and 35, who want to like get shredded or build muscle, because that's pretty much kind of like what I do. And it's kind of attracts guys that are within that sphere. Don't get me wrong, I do have a handful of females as well who are fucking sick. You know, those girls are awesome. But I don't tend to like, I don't market or speak to, when I talk on my stories, for example, I'm talking to like prospective clients, I speak as if I'm talking to the client. But I never talk as if I'm talking to a female, because I'm not trying to attract females. I'm trying to attract that niche of guys that I want to work with, who I know if they come to me, I just know for a fact if they apply, I will get a result, like 100%, pretty much 100%. Can't give 100%, 99%.
So I'm thinking that we're going to come back to this subject, but we're going to go back a little bit. You mentioned that you started off with sports and then you went to powerlifting.
Yeah, man.
And because if you started off powerlifting, would you say that that's like a good foundation for everybody to do when they're starting weightlifting? Like first go through a powerlifting stage and just get strong at everything, like the basic movements? Would you have a beginner do like some kind of mixed up training? Or what would you do with a beginner?
I would say sorry, sirens going past, it's so loud here. I would say one thing of what you just said is seriously important. And I would suggest everybody get strong. Like get strong. Doesn't really matter necessarily how you do it. It doesn't have to be powerlifting. You know, obviously powerlifting is only 3 movements. It's you know, deadlift, squat, bench. So obviously those are like 3, you know, very good fundamental movements for everybody to kind of measure strength by. And that's what a lot of younger guys do. I don't do any of those movements at all anymore, at all. Not saying that you shouldn't. I do have a broken back though, so I can't deadlift anymore. Disclaimer. But no, I would suggest for like newer guys, definitely get strong. I would suggest get a coach or a personal trainer or someone to show you how to do shit, because the amount of people I see in the gym, like when I go to like a more commercial busy gym, I'm literally like, I'm like that walking around. It pains me to see it. And like the inner PT and coach in me wants to, and I do it. I go and speak to guys, and like younger guys, because they usually listen. If I speak to an older guy, I'd be like, no, but I know how best to do it. I'm like, well, you fucking break your back, mate. That looks shit. That looks dog shit. Yeah. You know, I'll never say it to older guys because they're stuck in their ways. They've been doing the same shit for 10 years. I'm like, cool, you keep doing that, bro. You keep looking the same in 5 years.
But can you see other coaches at gym doing some bad coaching as well?
Oh, mate, like 100%. So I need to be careful again what I say here. They're going to be listening to this in the UK. But you know, I won't name gyms, but like I go to a couple of different gyms, right? More the gym I go to do cardio at. We'll leave it at that. It has a sauna, so you know I don't do weights.
Yeah.
So you know, so when I'm there and I'm on my treadmill, you know, I'm just kind of looking about, and I just see some stuff going on that I'd just be like, right, the trainer needs a fucking trainer. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, and this is the thing with nowadays, like with PT and like with a PT course, it is that it's literally, you just go pay your money, tick a box, and pretty much they give you a certificate. It's so easy.
Yeah, exactly.
My girlfriend, she got qualified over lockdown, so she literally did it in like a week, like just smashed it out. Like she knows what she's doing, so that's cool. But like literally anybody, pretty much all you got to do is like copy from the book. Like she had a book and like a thing there, and you're like, okay, cool. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's a fucking tick boxing, it's a box ticking process. And that, which means like, I remember when I did mine, this is 10 years ago, over 10 years ago, there was 2 guys on my course, and I was literally the whole time I was like absolutely, they haven't got a fucking clue. And this isn't me being mean, maybe it is a little bit, but I don't care. Like they were never going to be a PT, they were never going to be a successful personal trainer. It just was never going to happen. They were doing it because it's a job, and it's like, oh, shiny, I can go and work in a gym and have my own hours. Like it don't work like that. Like the majority of people I would suggest that probably do the qualification within a year, I bet you they're not PTing. I could absolutely guarantee that, because it's a hard industry to get into. It really is. It's a competitive industry because there are a load of fucking good PTs as well.
Yeah, if I look back at my course, I think it's like a handful of people that's now working with the personal training. Exactly, and other like 25 people, I don't see them. Yeah. And when I saw them at the course, some of them, it was like they never been at the gym in their whole life, I think.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like, and I think with online coaching, PTing's harder because you have to turn up and you have to actually be there, and you have to physically get somebody else to come where you are and do the thing, right? Whereas with online, it's kind of like, it's a lot easier to get someone in, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. That's cool. So I think that's why there are so many online coaches nowadays. And this isn't, again, me bashing anyone, because I've got a lot of respect for anybody that goes out there and wants to make a job and then tries at it. You know, if you're trying to educate yourself and you're trying to be better, then fucking sweet, let's do it. But there are a lot of con men out there, you know what I mean, who kind of don't really know what they're doing. They're doing it because it's the next cool thing to do. And like I said, it's a fine line. There's a fine line, and it's hard to judge, but you can definitely see the people who really try and put their effort in, and the people that kind of don't. You know what I mean? There's a big difference.
It's actually funny that you mention it, because in Sweden it's actually the other way around. Because we're also such a little community. Like the online coaches, everybody knows who is good and who already have done this for a while and got the experience.
Yeah.
So people are a lot more selective with the online coaches rather than the PTs, because most people train at a commercial gym in Sweden, and they just hire people who got the education. Like you could go there and would have been a bodybuilder for 25 years, but that doesn't matter. It's worth nothing there. If you have the education, that means everything. So we have all the PTs who actually never look like they train, which is actually really sad, because when you go to the commercial gyms for, like you say, cardio or a quick workout, it's just the personal trainers, they're doing all the kind of wrong stuff, and it doesn't even look like they train. Like, I'm not going to say this in a bad way, or actually I am, but they're either quite fat or they're really skinny. Like it's one of the others. There's nothing in between.
Yeah, and they're doing their TRX bands and their jumps and stuff. Yeah.
Mate, it's a pretty common thing, and I think the thing is, there are a lot of guys who don't maybe look like they train, who are really smart guys, and they're very good. Like, there's a lot of guys in our industry now, you probably know a few guys on Instagram and stuff, who don't really look, now you wouldn't want to look like they look, but their knowledge and application on biochemistry and biomechanics and anatomy, physiology, or nutrition, or whatever it is insane. A lot of the kind of like educated guys, shall we say. So it's kind of like, it's hard to judge, isn't it? But then when you go into the commercial places, it's a bit easier to judge.
Yeah.
It's a bit easier to judge.
It's like Stefan, for an example. Like you wouldn't know he was a bodybuilder or had all that knowledge.
He's a fucking wizard.
Yeah.
He's a wizard, man.
And I mean, if
Olympian stuff.
Talk about these guys, I mean, if I would just see a picture of Chris Acedo, I would never hire him.
Yes, Chris.
like absolutely not. But
and then I see an email from him, and I'd still not hire him.
Really?
I'm not sure I could deal with that. I'd be like, I'll get fucking OCD. But
yeah, I've heard some stuff. I've heard some stuff that he's just like, he doesn't really plan things like we do, I guess. Just
no. Well, I think that's the point. He's like literally like, I always say a good coach is a reactive coach, but he's literally like just completely react to, we'll never plan, probably won't plan anything even like a day ahead.
Yeah.
Like just,
oh man,
I'd be sat there like, fuck, what am I doing? Like, because you kind of want to know like at least a day what I'm doing, but it is what it is.
Who's your coach now? Do you still have Patrick Tour or?
So me coaching wise now, so I stopped working with Patrick after the Spain show, and I'm now working with, don't know if you guys know him or not, his name's Joe Jeffrey. He's part of the Physique Collective over here in the UK. So he founded, like, it's called the Physique Collective, and there's like a number of coaches that work for them. He's like the founder.
Was that the guy you had a YouTube video about, like AIs and stuff?
Yeah. Honestly, you guys need to go follow him. Like literally so fucking smart, it's ridiculous. He does a lot of YouTubes and like educational content with, like, John Jewett, with Kuba, all those guys.
It's the university podcast, what is it called?
Yeah, he's been on there. They were talking about I think recovery capabilities and stuff off the back of prep, and the best kind of way to go about that and managing that kind of phase. But honestly, some of the stuff that they speak about, or that Joe speaks about, is just so applicable to the way in which I like to think now. Like, my thought processes as I've evolved through bodybuilding, it's weird how much they've changed. Like, I'll never knock anything that I've ever done, but I just think there's different ways of doing things that can be more optimal, if that makes sense. However, potentially I needed to do what I did at the time I did it to get me to where I am now, and now I do something different to progress from where I am. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I have a question that I'm not sure if you're going to be able to answer. Perhaps it's just going to be guesses, but if you look at like the standards in Sweden with the coaches, like most people, they get like their cycles is like 750 milligrams of test and like 750 milligrams of EQ, and then you add in some orals and some AIs, and you get like a workout split basically like 6 days a week, and you get shit tons of calories with like pure clean food. It's just rice, basically rice and beef and chicken. And it feels like when you look at most people's the plans, like the general plan, it just feels like the plans have been brought from the 80s. Like Sweden hasn't really evolved a lot when it comes to the bodybuilding. And when you start looking outwards, like to the UK, it feels like you guys are in space compared to us in Sweden. Okay. Do you have any ideas why that is? Like why we're so stuck in this old matter of doing things?
Well, probably a lot of the stuff to do with, before we got on the call, like you said about like the law enforcement and stuff like that in your country, that probably puts off a lot of people from putting out information like that, or potentially researching and changing the way you guys think. So probably that, I would say, definitely holds you back in the bodybuilding side of things. And then I guess, like, I just think the industry over here is so big and it's so vastly growing, and I think there's so many different people over here that are of a high level in terms of their education and their experience. And we've obviously got quite a lot of high level bodybuilders over here, Olympians, guys looking to get in Olympia. We have a lot of pros here, so the standard itself is fucking high. Like, it's crazy high. Like, even to turn pro in the UK is so hard. Like, it's incredibly hard. It's easier now than it used to be. Like back in the day when it was UK BFF, you had to you had to go through a series of qualification shows and then go to like the British finals. You had to win the overall at the British finals. There's one pro card per year in the UK, which is crazy. So you got all these guys who are fucking amazing, not turning pro because someone else turned pro, but everyone else is still incredible. You know, it used to be like, you know, I remember it was like Flex, for example, he turned pro, and James Hollingshead turned pro doing that, and Luke Sando as well, Sas Harati, all those guys. Imagine like you're up against him, you'd be like, oh, fuck. But
what's the exit door? Where's the exit door?
Yeah, I know. But you know, all those guys are like against each other in certain different shows and stuff. So one won, the other didn't win. So it just shows you like the crazy standard. But I think going back to kind of what you said, it's hard to really say why. I just think that the industry in the UK is so big right now. It's so big. It's so moving. Our like education, or not necessarily education, but I guess understanding of different parameters of bodybuilding, and like we just got some crazy smart guys over here, and the industry is ever evolving. And I think you guys are like picking up on it as we go through it. Do you know what I mean? But I guess social media is cool because you can keep up with it at the same time. Rather than like, you know, back in the day when it wasn't as big, the gap would have been even bigger. But like, you know, if you come over to the UK, for example, and you go into most like bodybuilding gyms, you'd be like, fuck, like most people in here they're in nick, you know what I mean? There's some good guys, guys over here. Like if you went to, for example, like King's Gym in London where James trains, you'd be like, fuck, like as a lot of people here he could be pro, he could be pro. You know what I mean? A lot of them don't even compete. They just bodybuild because the bodybuilding industry here is so big. And I think there's been a huge shift probably over the last year or so in terms of like health parameters and what people are actually doing. No one's been like called out or anything, but like a lot of people are changing their viewpoint on things like drug use. And, you know, like you said earlier, like the, you know, the standard stack, 750 milligrams of test, 750 milligrams of EQ, like that's quite a lot of gear. Do you know what I mean? Like a lot of people wouldn't want, like now, like say like a couple of years ago, I'd have been like, oh, that's pussy cycle. you know what I mean? And trust me, I've done way more than that over the years. And it's just crazy how things change and you try different things because everybody goes through it, right? And we always think, so we've gone down the gear route now. We were going to go there. Everybody like I'm sure we've all been there at some point, right? And you think more is better. We've probably all been there, like you do with training, like you do with food, like you do with fucking sleep recovery. You always think more is better, and it just isn't. It just isn't. And I've been there whereby I've done, you know, crazy cycles, and like, yeah, of course, you know, you're going to get a crazy anabolic effect and you're going to grow, but also what is the cost that you're paying? Like, what are the negative effects? And is a lot of that actually going to hold you back? Are you then doing this at this level that you then have to take this at this level to stop this fucking completely fucking you up, and then this has another negative effect, and you're kind of running so much stuff.
When you talk about high steroid cycles, what's the highest you've been taking?
Yeah, for me personally,
like what's the craziest you've been taking?
Numbers wise, I don't want to put a number on it because if I put a number on it, someone might be like, oh fuck it, I'm gonna go try that. Do you know what I mean? But I've done, I've done like, you know, well over a gram of test before, you know, over 700 meg of tren, running like 500 Trestolone, all at the same time, as well as doing like, you know, over, you know, gram and a half of Masteron, all of the fucking, you know, Anadrol at like 150. Oh, wow. You know what I mean?
Is that in like every week?
That would be, I think, my prep in 2020, the year of COVID, right? I started prepping, I think it was February that year, and I finally fucking got on stage the end of October. So I prepped and I came down quite quick, and I was like 4 weeks out. So I was in nick. And then obviously COVID fucking came, and like we didn't really know what was going on, cancelled all the shows, and I suddenly went from 4 weeks out to 18 weeks out, and I was like, fuck, okay. You know, so I was already on like decent doses of stuff. So it gets to the point you're like, right, I can't really just come off. I'm fucking mid prep. At the time I had one show, it was like 8 weeks. And then I got closer to that, and then it went to further. So the gap was basically, I was on prep for like 8 months.
But that must been like over 10 milliliters of gear in every week.
Easily.
Over 10 mil of gear, bro. I was doing like fucking 6 a day.
Yeah. I remember that actually. Like, I think that was the period when you were coaching me as well, and I was looking at your log at Train by.
Yeah, I put it all on the site.
Oh yeah, and I was like, because I mean, in Sweden and European countries, you don't really see people's cycles, but that was an awesome thing, like to go into the blogs and see what people actually take. You and James. And stuff. I was also surprised. Yeah. Like, I saw your trend was going up to like 750 or something, and then like some Trestellone on that, and I was like, holy shit.
Dude, it's because I went. I don't know if you guys know. Like, I went out to Marbella as well to finish my prep, and that's when I met Sam out there and stuff.
Oh yeah,
Sam Michelson, and whilst I was out, because it's so fucking hot, right? And I sweat the best of times. I dropped like 4 kilos in a week, and obviously Jordan was coaching me at the time, and he was like, "Dude, like, what the fuck?" And I was like, "This is crazy." So then, obviously, that's when the Trestellone went in. And for the record, I was fully, obviously we conversed about everything that we did, and I was like, "Yeah, cool, let's do it." You know what I mean? You know what's up when you're an athlete? You're like, "Let's go." So everything kind of went in. And
sorry.
I went down, right? When I went over there, I think I was like 113 kilos or 112 or something like that. And I went down to like 107, 108 within like 2 weeks. And then we put Trestellone in. That was the only change that we did. And then within like 2 weeks, I was back up at 113 again, but leaner. Oh. It was crazy. Like, that is a crazy drug. However,
I have a really important question as well when we're talking about this. Do you ever come off completely off?
No,
never. Okay.
No, I haven't been. Fuck, I haven't thought about that. I haven't been off in years, in a number of years. However, obviously, that's not me saying go and do that. That's me saying I would class pretty high level competitive bodybuilder, right? And I have specific goals, and I know the risks of what I'm doing, and I take that, that's part of, I know that, and I'm probably going to have to be on some kind of TRT or something like that for the rest of my life. That's the decision that I made and that I'm comfortable with, and that's cool, right? Again, and I get a lot of guys come to me and they're like, what should I do for my first cycle? What should I do here and there? I'm like, bro, you don't even need to take gear. Like, it's a big fucking step, and like, it really is. And the more I learn about it and educate myself, the more I want to tell people not to do it, not to go down that route, because if you do it, like, there are consequences. This isn't me putting a downer on it. It's just the fucking reality of it, right? And to be honest, if you treat it with respect, like it should be treated like any drug, you can be absolutely fine. And that's why I believe, like, right now, I did my bloods, right, at 2 weeks out at peak load of gear this year. Every single marker, apart from like LH and FSH, which are obviously going to be out, were in range. Oh, wow. Every single marker, because we managed my recovery, we managed the cycle that I was doing, and we made sure everything was like at a comfortable parameter, and we managed obviously my bloods and obviously my supplementation in line with that. And we managed my blood pressure, my blood glucose, and we're actually just got access to like ECG as well, so we can do like an echocardiogram to really check on like the heart health and stuff like that. So one of the big, like, I guess, factors here is like being aware of where you're at, because you feel fine most of the time, but you have no clue what's going on inside. Like that cycle, the Trestellone cycle, I felt fucked. I knew I was fucked, and my bloods then, holy shit, they were bad. Yeah, they were bad, and I knew they were going to be bad because I felt like fucking shit. Like, and to be honest, by the time I got on stage, it didn't even look that good, because my body was so battered, so desensitized, because I'd been on for so long. And again, that's no one's fault. Times, the things changed, and I'd just been on so much high gear for so long. My body just didn't want to react. I looked pretty good like 2 months out from the show. By the time I got there, you know, we were peaking and stuff, and it wasn't really reacting like I know I can get fucking peeled, but I just wasn't like, I still look good, but like,
do you think it was worth it to take all that gear for the show?
No. If I'm completely honest with you, that was a bad year. It was a bad year for me. Like, I had other shit going on.
Yeah, so
like,
if you've been like taking half the dosage, would you have been like the same result? And
to be honest, I could have just not done Tressalone, could have just not done Tren, and just probably been absolutely fine. I feel like, or not done Tren at that level. I feel like Tren, like from my recent experiences, I just feel like Tren, for me personally, it really like over a certain dose, it really does affect me kind of like mentally, you know. It just puts me into a place whereby I am emotionless and withdrawn, not horrible, mean, just fucking not there. Do you know what I mean? I'm good at my business, I'm good with my clients, I'm just a fucking robot. Do you know what I mean? I get shit done, I'm good with my training, I'm good, I'm productive and I do shit, but like, you know, if you've got a girlfriend or family or people you're with, you're kind of not really there. That's what I find with me personally, and I know for a fact a lot of other people as well. Obviously, I can only speak on here, you know, on my own behalf. And then just from doing a lot of research into it, speaking to a lot of people who are a lot smarter and clever than me, like Joe, for example, and he will have none of his clients on, pretty much 95% of his clients on no more than 100 milligrams per week of Tren. Sometimes up to 150. And that to me, I was just kind of like, when I first heard that, I was like, but you have to run Tren high. How are you going to get hard? Do you know what I mean? And this is the thought process that loads of people have. And it's like, there's things that I've experienced and gone through. You have to kind of experience and go through it to kind of realize that. And I listened to a podcast with Kuba, Joe, and John the other day, and Kuba himself was saying, obviously, if you guys know Kuba is, right, and he's kind of, well, that cycle I just said, he would have been smashing stuff like that for sure. I'm sure he won't mind me saying that, but you know, he would say that himself. But like, he's done cycles like that himself before, and been in that place where your head's just fucked, right? But you just do and you do what you need to do, and you
but
think,
how much calories to eat when you're prepping so hard and dieting so hard?
I can get lean on like 3.5, 3, but then that's because I push my off-season food up to 6.5, 7 consistently for multiple months at a time, right? Which is fucking way worse than prepping for me. Off-season at that level is just horrendous. I don't know if you guys saw or not, but I was blending meals. I was blending pasta and salmon, and I was, do you know what I mean? We got to that point, and I was like, Patrick, I need to fucking prep, bro, because I can't do this anymore. I'm fucking blending fish, and like, that's the only way I could get my fucking food in. But you know what I was saying then about Kuba was that he's had that realization now that you can fucking achieve an incredible look without having to abuse drugs. I don't mean abuse it, but I think it is abuse, because and I'm saying that I'm not saying anyone else, but me personally, I feel like if it's affecting me like that, do I really want to be putting something in my body that's not, yes, changing me as a person, right? I do not want that. You know, I'm 31 years old now, and if I can achieve that look with a different method, obviously I know I'm still going to have to use anabolic steroids, but if there's a different way in which I can do it, a safer model, you know, these guys call it, you know, it's been termed a safer model of use, shall we say. Nothing's safe, but safer than running 700 meter Tren. You know what I mean? And just they tend to use like higher DHT derivative drugs, like higher levels of Primo, high levels of mass, that has a lot lesser effect or a lot lesser, I think, neurotoxicity on the brain. And just personally, anecdotally, I just would never do it again. Never.
But what would you
ever
say
run
is
it again.
the worst side effects of steroids?
The worst?
In general.
So obviously you've got the physical, sweating, spots, you know, all that kind of stuff. For me, the worst one is being withdrawn and not being there for like, you know, I've lost relationships over that, and it's taken me kind of like till recently, really, like probably last
But is
year.
that because of the steroids or because of dieting and competing?
Not dieting, because of purely for me, Trent, like directly
Okay.
Trent. And I know it's like funny because people say like, oh, Trent makes you angry, whatever. Like, it doesn't make me angry, but it does have a lasting effect, that it does affect you. And when you're on it, when you're in it, you don't notice what you like. And for example, like for me, I'm a, this is me now. Do you know what I mean? I'm an out there guy. I like having a laugh. I'm a confident guy, all that kind of stuff. When I'm on it, I'm just a bit more like, not really. Do you know what I mean? You're not really. I don't really want to speak to people. I don't, and I know that's prep when you're dieting, stuff like that. But if you know me, when I'm dieting, I'm like this. I'm literally like this pretty much all the time. Like on my last prep, for example, when we finished it with Joe, everything was ran at a way lower dose. And I was literally fucking fine. I was literally like this, do you know what I mean? And peeled.
But to just have a question as well, I really want to get in there. Like in Sweden, because the information, like to receive the information is quite hard, because we cannot talk. I mean, you can talk about this, but no one is talking about this, right? So we have a lot of, like in young people as well, young aspiring bodybuilders, a lot of people have destroyed livers, kidneys, thyroid glands, everything of these like basic stuff has been damaged in young bodybuilders, and they gotta quit sport at like 22, 23. They gotta retire because they're just broken. And like, because we lack the information in our own country, like a few selective people are looking more to the UK. Like I could probably name everyone that I know is a part of the Train by GP, for example, and stuff like that. But how do you get this under control? Like, I mean, you can't tell us that, but do you have any ideas, like what are the Swedes supposed to do about this?
It's, at the end of the day, it's about being aware. Most people, right, they don't even know that they should be testing their bloods and stuff like that. Yeah. I get clients come to me and I'm like, right, what was your last blood panel like? And he's like, I've never had my bloods done. And honestly, it shocks me how many people say that. Yeah. And I'm like, right, you've been taking gear for how long? 5, 6, 7, 10 years, and people have never ever had their bloods done. And that's what I'm saying. They're like, yeah, but I feel fine. Okay, cool. Right, let's give it another 10 years and you have kidney failure. Yeah. And you will die. You will die. Or you'll have heart failure and you will die. Obviously, you see what's happening in the bodybuilding industry of late. More so than maybe it should do. And could this stuff be avoided? Maybe. I'm not going to say definitely, because I also don't know the full ins and outs of each person's story. Everybody's different. But I definitely think there could be a much better awareness of health. And I think it's going in the right direction, especially with, like I say, the information that's coming out of, I know, the UK, a lot of stuff from America right now. And it's making people more aware. And it is a bit sad that kind of you have to have a few deaths to make people kind of give a shit. I do think there's a lot of very good coaches in the UK that are very health conscious and will make sure that kind of health's in a really good spot before putting someone in a position whereby they're going to be on a cycle. Or likewise, though, there are coaches that you'll go to a coach and they won't do that, and they won't ask any of that stuff, and then they'll be like, right, let's start on this cycle, and it'll just be some dumbass cycle. And then, do you know what I mean? It's a bit of a nasty circle, really, because they'll probably have a really bad experience, and then they'll go to a coach eventually, and then who will, teach them all this stuff, and they'll be like, fuck, I've never known that. And then they learn it, and then, do you know what I mean? Once you find that person that will help you with, health and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, if you're on top of your health, you're going to be a better bodybuilder because your body works better. Whereas if you're fucked and you don't know it, your body's not as reactive. You're not as sensitized to certain things. So I guess the answer to your question is it's a hard one, but awareness is huge and people need to be aware. But if you don't know, you don't know. Do you know what I mean? That's why social media is huge right now. And obviously people putting out some really good content. And that's all we can do. Continue to just, each of us has a platform that we can speak on. And I think it's important that we do talk about it, from time to time. Obviously, it's not the easiest thing to talk about, but, I talk about, health and drugs and stuff on my social media. I try to make people aware that it's important to get your bloods done, That's a big one.
Funny you said that as well, because I mean, I get people a lot that's like been running gear for years and they never tested their bloods, and their excuse is always like, I feel fine. I mean, I haven't noticed anything, but
yeah,
that's why you take bloods, because you don't know what's happening in your body. I mean, you could go around with like a double-sized heart and don't even notice because it's growing like
100%.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It sounds like you know, obviously it's different, but someone that gets cancer, for example, you won't even know that you've got it until you show signs, and then it's too fucking late. Do you know what I mean? And then it's the same with this. Like, if you ignore it, you feel fine, but then like, oh, we've got a bit of a pain, right? Or maybe we should go get it checked. Oh, your fucking liver's fucked, mate. Sorry. Should have done a blood test 10 years ago.
And it's the same. Like people don't want to spend the money. Like they don't want to buy the blood test. They don't want to buy their organ defenders or anything. But it's like, in my opinion, it's like, if you're gonna go into that route, you need to pay those things. It's like
that's so true. I actually had a go at one of my clients the other day. I was maybe a little stern with him, to be fair, but it kind of woke him up, because he checked in. We did his bloods actually, and there was a few things that, you know, it was okay, but a few things that are okay. Make sure you got this, that, and that. Also, just give me an update on your health slips, you know, just to have a check. He was like, I'm not taking anything. I was like, bro, what? I was like, what? Like, you know, and you're like, I can't fucking believe that you just said that to me. I'm like, you know, because I've already told you to do this. You're already not doing that. And then I was just like, the reason his reasoning behind it was because he thought he felt okay, same thing. And I was like, and I basically I was a little bit, I fucking went in, to be fair. And I was just like, bro, you're gonna kill yourself. I was like, if you have that kind of attitude with this stuff, you know, you can't. And I said that the respect thing, I was like, you have to respect what you're doing. You know, you can't just smash all this stuff in your body and hope for the best. I told you to take that and buy that stuff for a reason. I'm not telling you for a fucking jolly. I don't own the company. I'm not making money out of this, the stuff that you're buying. He was like, oh, I was maybe struggling for money that month. I was like, well, you're either struggling for money or you're going to have a fucked kidney or fucked liver. Because I'm damn well sure if that happened down the line, you would trade that off in a heartbeat. Yeah. So,
but I also think a part of the problem when it comes to this again is that I've actually talked to a few of the UK coaches and like looked at a little bit of the pricing and stuff. And I know that like I don't know, but one of the lowest prices I've heard is like £300 a month, basically. Mm-hmm. But in Sweden, like the top coaches take between 100 and 150 pounds. Like that's the most expensive coach we have in Sweden. Mm-hmm. And I think like a part of the problem is when you pay that, like people are they don't want to pay £300 for a coach. Like that's too expensive. But when they're only paying like 1,500 for a coach, I guess that kind of affects what kind of care you're gonna get from the person.
Yeah.
And also like if somebody gets unhealthy in Sweden because of a coach, they're never going to be able to call it out on the coach because they got to hide what they've been doing to get unhealthy. Meanwhile, in the UK, if a coach would make somebody sick, they would probably be going at it that it would come out. But in Sweden, they can't say anything. No one can speak up about anything because then
stuff does come out. It comes out a lot. Like, I don't know if you saw that stuff recently about Shelby Staines or Staines. I forgot how you say his name. But like, I was actually at the show. The show I competed at the NPC European in Spain. One of his clients died backstage. Like, she fucking was there, just dead. Like, what the fuck? And like, then like there was a big thing. Someone said something. It's like, oh, actually, fuck, he's actually killed. I think it was 4 or 5 people, and like. Nobody does anything about it. But that was a big thing because it came about, right? And because obviously in the UK, well, I know definitely in the UK it's legal to take stuff, so we can talk about it. But I think one thing, like you just said there as well, is a lot of the coaches over here now that are charging more tend to have less clients. So they charge more but have less, but they can then offer that service that is better. They can actually know who all of their clients are, really deep dive into their programming, make sure they're on everything with their health. Whereas if you've got 100 clients, you're like, oh, fuck, just get it done, do the checking. You're not really paying the attention or putting the care in. So that's kind of probably one of the reasons why that happens as well,
I think Shelby had like 300 clients or something, insane.
Bro, I heard that, and I was like,
yeah.
That's just,
and he
this
had
is crazy.
He had hundreds of people going to the hospital as well. It's insane.
Yeah, man. Mate, so I actually saw one of the diuretic protocols, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Loading on diazide. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Fucking
Yeah. Did you
what's
see,
on that term?
Did you see that podcast with Boston Lloyd and Leo?
Yeah.
Yeah. When he talked about like this woman who like passed out and she wanted some Powerade or something.
Yeah, and he was like, no.
No liquids.
Yeah, no liquid. Bro, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
There's a line, right? And it's like, yeah, with bodybuilding, we push the limits. And we do push the limits. We push the limits of what our body should do training wise and stuff like that. But there's an optimal way to do it. And I feel like I've been through maybe not non-optimal, but like I've pushed the limits. I really have pushed the limits of, gear use and really pushing training to the fucking absolute max. And now I'm just finding different ways of doing things. Don't get me wrong, I still fucking train hard, but just different methods and stuff like that. I think there's different ways to do things, and it's not, you should have different ways of skinning a cat. Do you know what I mean? Don't just be married to one way of thinking, because if you're married to one way of thinking, you're missing out, in my opinion, I believe.
Would you say that, like, looking now that Big Ramis won the Mr. Olympia twice, do you think that puts people on a higher drug use because they're trying to attain the same kind of mass, just getting bigger?
I mean, for people who are smart, no.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, probably yes. Especially people over, like, over in where those guys are in Kuwait and Egypt and all those kind of countries, where their knowledge and their experience, it just isn't very, very, very good. They'll do what they're told. Do you know what I mean? Some guy will be like, cool, this guy's doing this, so we'll run that. And some of the stuff I've heard people running, I'm like, fuck me, like, pro bodybuilders don't run that. And you'd actually be surprised at what pro bodybuilders do run. Like, John Jewett actually spoke. He said his total androgen load of his Olympia prep for 2021 didn't go over 900 milligrams per week.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And he's a 212 Olympia pro bodybuilder. That's crazy.
Dry as fuck.
I mean? Yeah, mate. And he looks, he's conditioned like crazy. So it just, for me, these guys coming out, people like John, people like Joe, even Kuba now as well, like the direction that it's going, I like it a lot. Because I went through a phase in 2020, right, where I thought to myself, I genuinely thought, do I really want to pursue this? Because the category I'm in, right, super heavyweight bodybuilding, when I turn pro, I'll be an open bodybuilder, and I know I need to spend probably 2 years outgrowing. And the way in which I was going then, the way in which I was doing things, I was like, I don't really want to pursue this. I don't feel healthy. I don't feel good. I'm unfit. I'm fucking strong. Got a lot of muscle. But what's going on in here? And I wasn't happy with it, right? So I was like, need a change. So obviously I made a change to a lot of things. And I just feel like the trajectory of my bodybuilding career and the way in which I'm doing things now, I feel like I've got 10 years left in me now. Whereas before I was like, fuck me, I don't know if I've got 6 months. Like, and that's for real. Yeah. Like, that's for real. Like, you know what I mean?
That's a great, that's a really good thing you brought up. Like, because I think people are very, like, especially in bodybuilding, they're really into the mindset, like progressive overload in everything, including drugs. So,
sure.
Like you mentioned, like, not many people would think, like, let's say you're doing like 2 grams of stuff. It's probably going to go up to 3, 4, 5. Where's it going to end? Like at 8 grams? Like, but people don't think about, like, maybe going down and trying like a smaller dose because you're too scared of losing the muscle.
Yeah. And the thing that, like, if you listen to some of these guys, I know I keep mentioning the same names, but they're just who I have in my circle at the moment, so we say. And they talking about there's so many different pathways that you can go down. Like, it doesn't. They said it was a really good anecdote. It was like, rather than putting the hammer down on one thing, just put lots of little hammers down, right? And you're going to get a much better response from doing that, rather than hammering the one thing that's going to cause loads of side effects as well. Like, you will get a result doing that, but you're also going to get the bad shit that comes with it. Do a bit of this, bit of that, bit of that, bit of that, that covers all the different pathways, and you can have so much more longevity. Do you know what I mean? Because the sides are going to be way lower and all this kind of stuff. So that's just part of like educating yourself. You know, I'm going through a large learning curve at the moment myself. You know, where my thought processes were once here, they're now just like growing, and that's what I mean, like evolving with the times as well. You've got to be educating yourself and always evolving with the times and thinking, what else can we do, and how can we still do this thing that we love when we're 10 years further down the line without fucking ourselves up. That's essentially what we're trying to achieve, right? And look good at the same time.
So I was thinking something that's actually quite commonly used in Sweden, which is very unfortunate, is DNP.
Yeah.
Do you see a lot of use in that in the UK as well?
Not really. Me personally, I've never used it. I know one or two that have. I think, right, and I hope I don't offend anyone, I think if you can't get in shape without the fucking use of DNP, then you just can't diet properly and you can't do it properly. I mean, it's such a dangerous drug. I mean, if you use it properly, then but it can be good. But do you really want to like risk dying? Like, because you can die very easily from the use of it. And at the end of the day, natty guys get peeled.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. Some of the most peeled guys you see are fucking natty.
You're
like, he's not on DMP. He's not taking Tren. You know what I mean? Like, and he's fucking peeled. He's got walnut glutes. Like, that's what I say when people are like, oh, but I can't get fucking shredded without Tren or without fucking whatever. I'm like, well, look at that guy. I'll bring someone up who's like Bob Waterhouse, for example. I don't know if you guys know Bob Waterhouse. He's a natural FBB pro. And he's absolutely shredded, like peeled, like fully peeled than most guys I know who are on gear. And it just shows you that it just kind of maybe brings you back into the real world again, that you're like, a lot of people rely on drugs so much and they forget the fact that you have to actually diet, you have to be in a decent calorie deficit, do your fucking cardio with intent. Don't just walk at 1 mile an hour on the fucking treadmill. Some people can get away with that. And me being one of them. For real though, I do proper cardio, but you know, it's like, you have to do the necessary, and everybody's necessary is different. But yeah, no, DMP, I've never done it. I don't have any personal experience of it, and I certainly wouldn't put any clients on it.
Another personal thing, I don't know if you want to answer this, and then we can just move over it. But have you had any experiences with SEO?
With what? Sorry.
Oh, sorry, with site enhancement oil.
Yes, not oil. So we have. I don't know if you guys have heard Mediform. Heard of Mediform? It's basically it's hyaluronic acid, so it's water based.
Oh yeah.
Almost like temporary. Temporary site enhancement. So Joe, for example, I think he part owns the company, that Medform. So Luke Sandow was like the initial, shall we say, guy that was fronting it and using it. And it's a very, very good, I don't want to call it an SEO because it's not an oil. It's not oil based, and I would never use an oil based product purely just because it's I feel like it can go wrong, and you've seen it go wrong on a lot of guys. And the thing is, there is that kind of ethical thought process that goes through it. It's like, that's not actually real. That's not muscle. But at the end of the day, with hyaluronic acid or Medform, it is something that a lot, if not most guys at a high level are using. Whether you would know that or not, I don't know. But if you haven't heard of Mediform, you should go check it out. I'm not saying to go check it out and start using it.
You guys are so smart. Use this.
Use my code Joe10. For real though, I've used it pre-stage, and it's pretty fucking good what you can achieve with it. Like, I've used it like side delt, then because it sits there, it's hyaluronic acid, so it sits within the muscle cell, and then when you get a pump, it just looks like you're more pumped essentially, and then eventually, because it's water based, it just kind of goes, and you don't go from like big to small. It's not like fucking, you know, crazy, but it does make a difference, and it's good. Like, for example, one of Joe's clients, his name's Troy, he has a pec tear, right? And so when he tenses, he has that kind of, you know, that dip in here. So pre-stage, they put a few mil of the Medform in there, right? And when he was on stage, it filled the gap. Like, it really filled the gap, and you couldn't even notice. And he won a show. So that was pretty cool. And I mean, yeah, I think it's a pretty cool thing. And I think at the higher levels of bodybuilding, I think it's a thing that people are going to use. And like, if someone's like, oh, but you know, it's not real and all that, I'm like, well, fuck it, that guy's using it and I'm competing against him, so fuck that. Give me some Medform, let's go. You can use it when you're training as well. I've used it in my arms, my buys, my tries, my lats, because then when you use it and you go get a pump, you're like, fuck, holy shit. And that can actually help with hypertrophy down the line, because you can it can basically help with that. So it's short term, but long term, if you do use it, it can aid with the hypertrophic effect. So it's an interesting product, to say the least. I think you guys should check it out in terms of just like educate yourself on it or read up about it. But yeah.
Cool. But do you have any experience with healing peptides, by the way?
Yes, I do actually. Yeah, sure. I tore my, well, I've got a number of tears, but I've got a grade 2 subscapularis tendon tear through here, and I did that pressing probably 2 years ago, and it's something that it was never like, oh shit, my shoulder's fucked. It was just always there, gradually, just like niggling, right? And then it got to the point where I was really struggling to like do side raises and presses, and I was seeing the chiro, seeing physio, and the chiro was like, do you know what, let's just book you in for an MRI, because I was back and forth with him a lot, and he was like, there's something not right. So I booked this MRI, 450 fucking pounds. Cheers. And the one good thing about going private though is that I got it done like literally 2 days after we booked it, which is cool. If I'd have waited on the NHS, well, they wouldn't have probably done it on the NHS. They were like, you're fine, you're not broken, you know, it's cool. They wouldn't have done it. Anyways, I digress. So I got that done. They're like, right, yeah, you've got a grade 2 subscap tendon tear. So firstly, now knowing I had that was good knowledge. And then I was like, right, okay, so I did some research into obviously the peptides, and the two most popular ones was TB500 and BPC 157. And so I utilized both of those, and for probably a course of about 2 months, about 8 weeks, and then I got it done again, and it had gone down to a grade 1 tear, so it wasn't fully healed, but don't forget, I was still training, right? And it helped me continue to train, and I think anecdotally the healing process was 100% definitely sped up from the use of those peptides. So I think they're very, very good. And if you have like a tendon tear or muscle tear, they can be utilized to a good effect for sure.
Unless you live in Sweden.
Yeah. The cool thing with peptides as well, right, is that you can buy it online. You can literally go online and just buy it, because as far as I'm aware, it's not illegal. Probably illegal in Sweden. Fucking everyone's illegal.
Yeah. Actually, I've been listening a lot to Dave Crossland and Scott, and they have their podcast. Yeah. There was this one episode where they talked about like supplementation, like normal supplements, and they said something about you have this anti-doping something in the UK that was trying to ban more substances like supplement substances, and they were like progressively looking to actually make personal use illegal in the UK. Is that anything you heard of, and what is your thoughts about that?
Do you mean like WADA in terms of like sport doping?
I think it was something beneath WADA, like their own agency that works underneath WADA. I can't remember this correctly. It's one of their episodes they were talking about this.
I haven't personally heard about anything trying to come and like ban anything specifically, so I can't really comment too much on that, to be fair.
Okay.
I mean, if I thought if it was something that was huge, I probably would have heard about it. I mean, I'd say I'm pretty in the know. Do you know what I mean? We speak about things like that, but no, I haven't heard of anything coming in to be banned. I don't know, maybe I'll have someone knocking at my door tomorrow. We'll find out. Hopefully not.
No. But I'm actually, that's funny, because I want to confirm this, because I've been listening a lot to these guys, and Dave said that if you, for example, get like stopped by the police in the UK, because the line between personal use and like providing steroids is very thin. So if you, for example, have like 4 different compounds in I think he said that it didn't matter like the volume, it's just if you had like 4 different compounds, they can put it to where you're actually providing steroids.
I think I'd be pretty confident walking around, not walking around, but like if I got pulled over in my car and I had like a decent bit of gear on me, I think I'd be pretty confident that I could just chat that it's personal use. Do you know what I mean? I think at the end of the day, it depends what kind of policeman you get. In the UK, most guys are pretty sound. I feel like it's kind of like what kind of person you are. If they think you're a bit of a dick, they might like take you in and then do more of like a deep dive into it. Whereas like, you know, if you just, you know, you're not a dick and you just chat to the guy, you can probably get away with it, I would say. You know, as long as you don't have a boot full of it, if you got a boot full of it, you know, you're fucked. But a friend of mine, guy who dabbles with, shall we say, not manufacturing, distribution, we'll call it. He's a distributor. A friend of mine, he got caught with a substantial amount, and I think he went to prison for like 2 years. So obviously, if you are dealing it, that is illegal. Personal use is fine.
Okay, yeah. It's actually quite funny listening to these guys, because they talk a little bit about this, and they also had like a lawyer on as well. Yeah. And as I understood it, Dave Crossland actually works like someone who's sitting in court and like this is actually hard for me to say in English, but he's like trying to help them clear out what the intent of
on the defense.
I don't think he's a lawyer, but I think he was like working something where he's trying to figure out basically what is this usable for. So if he has this kind of amount, if this is okay, for example, if this could be used as a pro bodybuilder or not, like he has something like that, which is very unheard of. But,
that is quite random, isn't it? But yeah, no, he's a cool guy. He's very like clued up on drugs and usages and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So a lot of the stuff he puts out is really good too. So cool.
But before we go, like, just quickly, for people looking for new coaches, including yourself, do you have a few you would like actually recommend to people, especially like in Sweden?
So a lot of the guys over here, like I would say anyone who works under the Physique Collective name, they're all great guys. And like I said, they put out, it's not just the fact that they're a good coach, it's the fact that they put out good information as well. And they've got that kind of mindset of like, right, we want to put our guys on stage, you know, so they coach lifestyle guys too, but, you know, if we're talking bodybuilding and higher end lifestyle guys who maybe just want to do bodybuilding but don't want to compete, right? They put out that information that we can achieve this physique without having to do all this kind of crazy high gear cycles and stuff like that. And I think that's just a really healthy viewpoint to go about it. So the guys under the Physique Collective, also the Muscle Mentors, they're putting out a lot of information now, which is cool, especially Cal Ray Strick. You guys probably know Cal, the Muscle Mentors. He's a good friend of mine. He's a fantastic coach, killing it at the moment. Tom Hames, a friend of mine, he's a really, really good coach. Who else? We've got Jace as well. Jace is putting out some good results at the moment. And these are all guys that are like, obviously, you know, we use cycles with our clients, but they're all aware of like, we don't want to just fuck people up. We don't just want to get a trophy. Yeah, let's just smash this just so we can get a trophy like this. That's not the case. Like, it's very much a case of longevity in the sport, health, and knowing when to pull back as well. Like with our clients, you know, if somebody's, you know, competing and, you know, they kind of, you can tell when a body's tired, it's knowing when to pull someone back. And all of these guys are like really good at that kind of stuff. So yeah, a couple of those boys.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining and talking
Guys,
to us.
it's a pleasure. Like I love shooting the shit. I love chatting bodybuilding and business, a little bit of business stuff as well. And it's a pleasure for you to ask me on. So hopefully your audience enjoyed it. And if any of you want to ask me any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'll be more than happy to answer.
Oh, that's great. We'll link your Instagram below as well, if anyone wants.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, just find me. Like I always I have this thing, right? I say when I will answer every single, unless it's someone asking for my fucking OnlyFans, which I don't have. I'll answer every DM that I get, and I'll like, if someone asks me a question, that's like a thing of mine. I'll make the effort to reply to every single person that messages me. Hopefully with some kind of, I had this one guy, like he'll ask me like a question, I reply. He asked me another question, I reply, bro, just fucking sign up for coaching, mate. Like, you know what I mean? You're taking the piss. You know what I mean? But yeah, look, guys, give me like my Instagram handle is Joe Ballinger Fitness. You can shoot me a message on there, and I'll be more than happy to help you guys out with anything, so long as you're not asking me to get you gear.
I think the most commonly asked question after we release this episode is going to be for you to translate this to the UK listeners.
Oh yeah, no worries. Yeah, that's fine. I can try and do that.
No, perfect. Thank you so much, and have a good evening.
No, guys, thanks for having me, guys, and hopefully we'll do it again sometime. And I'd like to get over to Sweden actually as well. I kind of want to come over, and I think is there like I did a photo shoot with the guy that does the video, the photos for Gasp.
Is that Victor?
No, not Victor. He shot with Sam recently. Pierre. I forget how to say his name. Perry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Perry. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, sorry, Perry. I did a shoot with him and Sam in Spain, and a really cool guy. And he said like he helps run or works for like an event that's going on out there. So maybe I'll come over for that. Like if there's like some fitness events, it'd be cool to come over and network with you guys, and obviously get a session in and get some big food in too. So that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me.
See you, man.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Sweet boys. Peace out. Sweet.